Thanks for subscribing to the Clive Barker Podcast. In episode 284, Jose and Ryan go over the news about Candyman, Hellraiser, and other possible Clive Barker releases. We watched The Torturer short by Little Spark Films, and there are only 6 days of the Kickstarter, but lots of great stuff you can still get to help us out. This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the Arts and Medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program, where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. Don Bertram is a longtime friend of Clive and celebrates and continues to be inspired by his art. He uses that inspiration to help kids through the Texas Children's Cancer Center, and we couldn't be more thrilled to continue to work with him. There's a news feature video that shows Don working with the kids at Texas Children's Cancer Center and his artwork. Click the side banner at www.clivebarkercast.com to find links to videos and his Etsy shop where you can buy his prints, books, and support this wonderful program. Check out his artwork and find out what inspired me to buy The Sentinel in episode 257, Art and Inspiration with Don Bertram. Well, welcome. This is episode 284 of the Clive Barker Podcast. Good morning, Jose.
Hey, good morning, Ryan. It's a great day.
Yeah, and this is a news episode. So, but before we get into the news, I guess this is kind of Clive Barker news in a way. But our fundraiser, our Clive Barker Podcast Presents Fundraiser 8, only has, as you're listening to this on Sunday, only has 6 days left to go.
So we've managed to get a good harvest this year. It's kind of like similar every year, but we're at $1,545.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but we keeps the things going, and we've been getting some good backer rewards out for fans as well.
The goals that we have reached, our main modest goal for $600, that pays our bills to allow us to keep going.
Yep.
We had a stretch goal to do bi-weekly episodes, so we reached that one. We had another one to cover more plays, so as more playbooks come out, we'll cover those. If they don't get to the playbooks this year, which I can't imagine, I think there'll be more. But we could also go back into the ones in Incarnations and Forms of Heaven.
Forms of Heaven, yeah. We still have some interesting plays there that, even though they may not be as cool or as gory as Frankenstein in Love, and there's still some stuff. Paradise Street. And
more A to Z commentaries, right? So we reached a goal for I is for Innocence, where we'll do an audio commentary for the movie Bad Seed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty old movie. J for Japan, so we would be doing Godzilla.
Gojira. Do you want to do the classic one, or do you want to do?
That's what I was thinking.
The first one.
Yeah. So there's two. That movie there's two versions of it, right? The American version, they jammed Raymond Burr into it. The K is for Killing Joke, which we'd be doing Interview with the Vampire.
Lestat. Yeah, the Anne Rice book.
More interviews. We'll do more interviews. L is for Lynch Mob, so that would be audio commentary for Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
Yeah, that should be cool. That's an awesome anthology film.
Audio commentary for the Books of Blood movie by Hulu. So hopefully by that point, by the time that we do that, everyone will have had a chance to see it. I know right now people in Europe can't watch that because they don't have Hulu, and it's not on any other channels that I know of. Well, and hopefully by that time they'll have gotten a chance to watch it. They won't have to use a VPN to trick their computer into saying they're American or something.
I'm not sure. I mean, if you know that, just correct me in the comments there. Just let me know. Like, no, you moron, I'm in Germany and I got Hulu. And just let me know.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing though, is that like at least in the UK for sure, they didn't have any way to watch it. But it'll probably make its way to something. M is for Mistress of the Night, so we would be talking about Black Sunday.
We spoke about it before, didn't we? A little bit.
Yeah, we did. We didn't do the audio commentary, but we talked about it in this series.
Yeah, we watched the movie and then we talked about it. Yeah, this time we would be doing a commentary, right?
Yeah. Art books. So we got through 3 stretch goals for art books. So Pandemonium, the Illustrator series, and
that's interesting.
Visions of Heaven and Hell.
I'm very interested about this because this is going to be a chance for me to also get a copy of some of these books because some of these I've never been able to get before. So that's going to be interesting. Revisiting Visions of Heaven and Hell is going to be particularly interesting because I haven't looked at this book in a while. Yeah, and then we got, whenever we're going to be talking about the Candyman 2021 movie, we got some news about that release date that has been thrown out there. But whenever that comes out, we'll be able to do next year the Candyman 2021 audio commentary and discussion.
And before that one, there was N is for Nightmare, so Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Yes. Sorry that I jumped the gun there.
And then our last one that we haven't quite reached yet, and this is something we've kind of hinted at a little bit, but never really openly discussed. So I've gotten really into Dungeons and Dragons a lot lately, and I had this idea months ago that, and we've been sort of planning it and doing some preliminary character development and stuff for what we're calling Jericho Squad 77. It's a Dungeons and Dragons game that I would be dungeon mastering for a group of players on video. Mm-hmm. And they would be characters in a remote Jericho Squad set in the Second Dominion of the Imajica.
Yeah, in a Clive Barker backdrop. And Jericho, of course, for those who don't remember, is the militarized witches that handle any sort of supernatural threat to our world, right?
Yeah, and so what I was thinking by this time in by present day in Clive Barker's, if we had a shared universe of all of Clive Barker's books put together, there would be threats from all over the place, right? We've got the Weaveworld, we've got the Imajica, we've got Quiddity, and
we've got the White House.
Yeah, right. We've got there's the Metacosm and there's the Aberrat. So in my thinking was that if Jericho existed in this like international organization, they would be spread super thin. And so you would have misfit squads, that are not quite as experienced or qualified, spread all over everywhere.
Right. They would be keeping tabs on the Enovo dimension. They would be keeping tabs on the Yaduroboros, probably. They would be keeping tabs on the demons that come from the Metacosm. It would even be possible to establish an outpost in the Ephemeris Islands in Quiddity. Who knows? Yeah.
So my thinking was it would be fun to set up this game, and some of our episodes every once in a while would continue this story on, and it would be in the audio feed, but it would also be a video.
Yeah, kind of like the Cult Divinity that we've posted 3 episodes of.
Yeah, exactly. So we would do a session, and then that would probably be broken up into 3 or 4 episodes, depending on how. So I'm excited about doing that, and the reason it's so far down at the end of our stretch goals is because it's going to take, to do it right. I think that we should have artwork for the characters, artwork for the monsters. So I would like to have an artist to help us, and so that and to have a consistent art style and to have, some really nice looking artwork to go with what's going on in the story, it would be good to have some money to pay that person.
It's funny you put this Jack image, and it's actually from a book that I'm looking at on my desk. It's Barlow's Guide to Fantasy, right?
I have that book. I actually took a picture out of that.
It's real neat. Yeah, it's real neat. Wayne Barlow, who made that book about the Inferno, which is a really cool book.
It's so rare to find anything like this. Like that one picture is the only Clive Barker related photo, painting in that whole book.
Yeah.
And so it would be to have an artist helping us would help immensely, just because that stuff is super rare, and so to help people visualize, to help me visualize, it would be really good.
When you go into DeviantArt, there is fan art for a lot of Clive Barker stuff, but of course it's not official, and it's just floating around in the DeviantArt universe and other blogs and stuff. So
and if we start broadcasting it, we got to make sure that we have permission from the artists and stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of good to get somebody on board that's creating it kind of as we go along.
Yeah, that would be tremendous. So we'll see if we get to that. I think we will. just another $50 to get there. So, yeah, let us know if you're interested in this and being a part of it, and we'll see when we reach. We'll announce it.
Yeah, and we still have a lot of awesome stuff that you can get too. So you're not just helping us, although helping us is a reward in itself. But you can get a whole bunch of anybody that donates gets thanked on the blog and on the podcast. But you can also we have Sacrament paperback still left. The Torturer, which we're going to talk about today. You can get a download code for The Torturer, and you can also get a signed copy, signed by Paul T. Taylor of the Torturer posters. So we still have those available too.
We've had some amazing people helping us with our Kickstarter, like Pyramid Gallery, Derek Neal, Little Spark Films, Ed Martinez,
Aiden Fowlin, Seraphim Inc., Clive Barker Archive.
Yes, he sent us some interesting stuff. If you're a fan, you might be very, very interested in some of the Dread fanzines and stuff that I think some of them are still available, right?
We have, I think, 6 through the summer special are still available. Number 11 is missing, which is interesting because I was looking at that and he didn't have an extra number 11 to send us, and I don't have number 11 either. That one must have been rare or something.
Yeah. Comic books, magazines, Fangoria, Tapping the Vein comic books. So, these are things that are out of print and have been out of print for years. So this is a place where you can get some of those and support us.
And do not trust the Smiling World posters that as far as I know, we have the only ones of those.
Clive Barker Society?
Yeah, the Appreciation Society.
That didn't really go anywhere. Yeah. But, unfortunately.
Imajica paperbacks, the 1 and 2, they're broken up into 2 parts. We have mugs and T-shirts. So we have a new T-shirt designed by Marcus Williams. It's got a pinhead design on it. That's really cool.
Oh my God, that's so cool. That one is like one of the best. And we got that T-shirt also with the Cenobium cover. It's got Nyx drawn by Nina Arlene. So yeah, those are amazing. We got a lot of merch this year.
So yeah, going back to that Cenobium shirt, that one has been our most popular seller, and it is awesome. And for anybody that remembers the old the old 90s fanzine Cenobium, it's kind of a blast from the past. It's really cool, and so
I know.
Check it out. And
it's good stuff, man.
So Peter Atkins donated a bunch of stuff for our Kickstarter, and most of it sold right away, but we still have one chapbook of his left. The Raven of October, signed by Peter Atkins, is still available, so you can still get that one. Pinhead Comics and Fangoria bundle is still available. That's all these Fangoria issues that are about Clive Barker stuff, so Hellbound and 2 about Lord of Illusions. You can help plan an episode and maybe be on the episode with us if you want to. And Imaginer, we have Imaginer books. So if you've been following our Clive Barker Imaginer series, where we talk about the art books, we have 4. I think 4 might be sold out, but we have 5. We have 4, 5, and 6 still available. And then we have 2 tray case editions. Actually, one of those was sold, so we have one of those left. I think
those are pretty rare. Yeah,
Imaginer 6.
This is huge.
And they're artist copies of the tray case books, so they came directly from Clive Barker's studio house, donated by Seraphim. A few years back. So that is awesome. And then advertising, lots of cool stuff. Check it out. We've got photos of all of it in the story part of the Kickstarter, so you can look at it. And we still have a lot of stuff left. There's 6 days left as you're listening to this. So please check out Clive Barker Podcast Presents Fundraiser 8 Sellworld. But really, all you need to search, we have a link in the show notes, but all you need to search is if you just type Clive Barker, you'll find it in Kickstarter.
Yeah. The 10th year of the Barker cast. 10th year. Yeah. My God.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was kind of a long commercial, but hopefully you'll find something that you like in there. And so we should get on to the news. Clive Barker has decided to become a producer on the HBO Hellraiser TV series.
Right. So it was announced recently. He's joining the HBO series, Hellraiser adaptation. That's being penned by David Gordon Green, I think. He's also going to be directing the early episodes. David Gordon Green, not Clive Barker. So that's exciting. It was broken news by Deadline.com.
So that is exciting, and it's also interesting because a lot of whenever we would hear talk about Clive Barker suing to get the Hellraiser rights, a lot of it was in relation to the Hellraiser remake movie. But really, this TV series wasn't really mentioned as being at odds in that.
Right. Yeah. So here's the proof that, and I want to correct myself, the series will be written by Mark Verheiden from Battlestar Galactica and Michael Dougherty from Trick or Treat. And David Gordon Green is just going to direct some of the early episodes. And, of course, David Gordon Green is working in those Halloween movies, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. And I think he also worked in the first one of this new trilogy of Halloween movies, just Halloween. This is being produced by Farah Films' Dan Farah from Ready Player One, if you remember that movie. Vertigo Entertainment's Roy Lee, who produced It. Rough House Pictures partners Green, Danny McBride, Jody Hill, Brandon James, who also produced Halloween Remake, as well as Panacea's Eric Gardner, Loris Kuppen, of course, which we all remember from Hellraiser 3. Yeah. And he's the guy who's, he's been trying to make this TV show happen for years, decades. David Salzman and Mark Toberoff.
They've got a lot of advantages going for this project already. Every time we saw in past years, Lawrence Kupin's ads for, trying to get support for this TV series, it looked bad, in the past, like the remote control with the push pins stuck in it or whatever, and it looked like he had no. But now it seems like there's a lot of big names behind it, and
right.
Probably it's on HBO. It's probably got a good budget.
Yeah, every time I saw something that came out saying there's going to be a TV show for Hellraiser, it always seemed like a bunch of spaghetti thrown at a wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
And now this one actually might actually happen. So now that Clive Barker is behind it and all that as well as a producer, he's backing this up. And some interesting names, David Gordon Green directing early episodes, cool writers and Michael Dougherty in there and all these producers. I think we got a chance. I think we really got a chance of seeing this happen.
I think this is more exciting news than the Hellraiser remake, honestly. I mean, we don't know anything about that either. We don't know much about either one of these, but this one seems a little more promising.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what their plan is for a TV show. I don't know if they're going to be like, okay, we'll approve a budget to make a bunch of episodes, or are they going to start with just a pilot? It doesn't seem like it because it says David Gordon Green to direct first few episodes. Yeah. So it seems like they might go for like a short run of episodes first, see how that does, which would be tremendous because it would be more than one, because Books of Blood, I was a little disappointed because it was just one. It was going to be a TV show, then it became a movie, and then it was just the one thing, and it wasn't super well received. So I don't know if there's any chances of seeing more, but Hellraiser TV show, sign me up. I mean, it just as long as Clive's involved in it, and with all this talent that's attached to it. I'm willing to give it a shot,
Clive, you're going to make us subscribe to HBO, aren't you? Just like I have a Hulu subscription.
Yeah. And I haven't canceled my Hulu yet because it's actually pretty fun.
I think my Hulu is up today or tomorrow, and I've got it in the calendar when to unsubscribe.
Yeah.
If we're going to do an audio commentary on that, then I'll have to bring it back up again at some point.
Sure. I'm sure you'll get a code again at some point, and you can use a different email.
I'd like to buy it, actually, is what I'd like to do. I'd like to download it or, have
Well, good luck with that, because these streaming platforms, they don't seem very keen on, like, actually releasing these in physical or downloadable things. They want to keep you attached to it, so you have to stream it from their platform. That's the whole point. It's like, and then they can take it away at any time, which is why, physical media is so important.
Well, I'd like to push for, if anybody out there is listening from Hulu or Clive Barker, I would really like to push for a physical release of and I know that's not really in Clive's control, but
HBO always has a lot of money, they're very careful about what they develop because it's HBO and it's a streaming platform. So they want to make sure that they're putting out good content, premium content. That's what HBO is known for, being premium content.
Nowadays, it used to be just, movies.
Movies, yeah. This is very, very cool. Very cool. Again, it's great. It's a great time to be a Hellraiser fan again because there's the idea of the Hellraiser remake, which I'm unsure about how to feel about that because of this lawsuit and because I honestly don't know. It's the movie sequels have kind of like left a very bitter taste in my mouth in terms of movies. And as long as they don't take the Friday the 13th route and make the Hellraiser TV show be something completely unrelated.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What would you like to see in a Hellraiser TV show, Ryan? What would be like an idea for an episode that you could come up on the fly as in terms of expectations? What would you expect from an episode of a Hellraiser TV show?
I would really like to see like something like the Harrowers. And I think I've mentioned that before, but I think that something like the Harrowers, people that know about the secret world of Hell and Leviathan and they want to collect all the puzzle boxes and destroy them. They want to stop Hell from claiming people. Something like that, like people whose lives have been touched by Hell and Leviathan and stuff, and they want to fight back.
Right. That's an excellent answer. I think you got it better than what I was thinking. I definitely would want this show to stay away from just being an anthology format where it's like every week there's like a Cenobite that's going to show up and someone's going to open like a box or, some basic, cycle of, finding something, solving, connecting to a Cenobite, and then the twist at the end. I think that would disappoint me. Yeah. I think what you said is great. Something that would expand a little bit on the mythology without explaining too much of it. I don't need to know. I don't need to see, Cenobites in their little monkish cells or anything. And if they have to show something like that, that would be cool. But I don't want to know too much about how the sausage is made, so to speak. And I would like to get more mystery. I would like a TV show that would make me ask more questions than give me answers, but not necessarily in like a Lost kind of way where it's like just all questions and no answers at all.
And I know for sure what I don't want. I don't want the character to go through all this crazy stuff and see things and not understand what's going on, and then the twist in the end, they figure out they've been in hell all along. Don't, please, for God's sake, don't do that again.
Don't Jacob Ladder us again, please.
Never again. Jacob's Ladder is a good movie, so stop ripping it off.
I know.
But I don't think that's, with Clive Barker involved, I don't see that happening. I mean, he really didn't like Inferno. And that was the start of the movies where they did that.
When you think about Scarlet Gospels, for example, and the Hellraiser, The Toll, written by Mark Miller, they were kind of companion books a little bit. That was an interesting story there. It could be a good adaptation in terms of like making it a movie. Yeah. As for a TV show, like I said, I would like the TV show to stay away a bit from explaining too much about the Cenobites, but give us more stuff. Like give us maybe even like episodes where they could be going back in time and showing us some period pieces about Le Marchand, for example, or Making the Box, stuff like that. I would really enjoy stuff that would bring us back and maybe say, well, give us some development in terms of the history of the Lament configuration. Give us some idea of how that started and what was involved in that. And what I don't want this show to be is too much of a soap opera with the human characters. Although it's important to have, the regular people, the normal people who, give so much color to the original movie Hellraiser, the family, Julia, Larry, Kirsty. There's just the right amount of like mystery and characterization. So I felt like that Faustian bargain thing was there, more hinted in Frank's story. And then there was this characterization of the characters with the whole situation with Larry, Julia, explaining their dynamic, explain the dynamic with Kirsty, and then they just use that to flesh out the characters, so to speak. So that was interesting. It wasn't so much like we don't really care that Julia might be cheating on Larry. It's just a plot point to make the whole thing, fall apart in terms of Kirsty finding out that Frank is in the house and that Julia is there, and then find out that Frank is alive and stuff. So I don't want this Hellraiser TV show to be like a Riverdale with lament configurations.
and having recurring characters wouldn't be too bad either. Something like Walking Dead, except not like dragging it out.
Especially if it would be something like a Harrowers TV show. That would be tremendous.
Yeah. So just this one's just really quick, but if you go on Revelations, Clive Barker, the Clive Barker Revelations Facebook page, we have a link to it. They put up a little video of Clive Barker finishing up the painting Hedgehog Man, and kind of making little comments about it as he's going. It's only like a 1.5-minute long video, but it's interesting to watch.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, he's doing some. They might be like wax crayons on paper. And I particularly like the fact that when he's done doing it, he says something like, "Welcome to the world, Hedgehog Man." It's like he's giving birth to the Hedgehog Man in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's nice. It's great to see Clive drawing, and we'd love to see more of these little videos of Clive's studio and Clive working at his desk, and give us little teasers here and there of like him writing and painting and drawing. I love this stuff. This is what I live for.
We've talked about this before. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is going to be continuing with season 4, and now we have a release date, December 31st of this year.
Speaking of Riverdale.
Yeah, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina season 4 will start and end because it's basically they were given 8 episodes and then they're canceled. So that's when that's going to start. And we did audio commentaries for the first season, but it really kind of took over that year of our episodes. I mean, it's just hard for us to do that many audio commentaries. So I don't think that we're going to be able to continue on with 2 through 4.
If I can just be blunt, it was just kind of not my bag, the Sabrina thing. I think it wasn't really, I'm not part of that target audience. But like you said, it also overpowered, our time and our episodes, and we were doing all these commentary tracks. And, some people were okay with it. Some people might have been a little more, hey, I want more stuff about Clive Barker. I don't really care about, Sabrina the Teenage Witch or whatever. But I think it's greater. It's more, it's cooler to just focus on other things like more horror oriented movies, the Books of Blood commentary track, the Candyman commentary track. That kind of stuff is, I think, more in tune with our audience. But let us know what you think. Did you like our commentary tracks? We didn't get a lot of feedback from that. So, and what's your thoughts on where the show is going? And have you spotted more Clive Barker art in it? So that's basically what drew us into it. I guess that was the intended purpose of getting Clive Barker paintings into the School of Witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah. Well, and I like the series. I've continued to watch it after I've seen seasons 2 and 3, and I'll be watching the 4th one when it comes out. Just I don't know. I get drawn into it, and I like watching for the Clive Barker.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't see any more seasons after we did the commentary tracks, to be honest. But in a continuing saga of the pandemic, movies being like shuffled around in terms of release dates, we got another Candyman release date to announce, right?
I think if I were in their place and I was dead set on this movie being in theaters, I wouldn't say, okay, let's try for Christmas. Okay, now let's try for, March. They're like, no. They pushed this way out. August 27th, 2021 is the release date for Candyman. They're not messing around. They don't want to have another release date and have it canceled, and then another one and have it canceled. They're like, okay, this stupid pandemic should be over and done. Theaters should be back open by then. August 27th.
I was having a conversation last night. I was sitting at a bar, and the guy was saying, maybe next year, by the time that this, like halfway through next year, by the time that all this stuff is done. And then another guy was like, haha, you think it's going to be done by then? Yeah. And I was kind of talking to the other guy, and I was like, yeah, well, I honestly hope so. I hope that things would be clearer by like the end of spring of 2021. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. And now that we finally may have a different, kind of management in this whole situation, as we record this, it's Saturday, 11/7. Yeah. So we finally have an idea of where the future of this government is going. So maybe we'll have a better chance of controlling this. And I would really love to see, because when was the last time I went into a theater? Jeez, I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been almost a year, maybe over a year, because, oh, geez, I completely forgot what was the last movie. Maybe it was one of those Fathom events with like a live riff tracks or something that I saw in the theater.
That might be the last thing I saw was a Fathom event. I think maybe the Muppet movie, 40th anniversary, or...
Oh, that sounds awesome. I missed that one.
Or there was a Godzilla something or other, I think, a Fathom event that I might have seen. I can't even remember
like the Shin Gojira movie?
Yeah, was that one wasn't a Fathom event though.
Okay. That was just a limited release.
Yeah. Oh no, maybe it was Godzilla King of the Monsters was the last movie I saw.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Did I see that one? Yeah, is that the one where there's like a family looking for their daughter while the monsters are fighting?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's like, focus on the monsters. It's but anyway, in regards to the Candyman, yeah. So August 27, 2021. Put it in your calendar, people. Write it on your mirror and get ready, because hopefully by that time I am 90% confident that it will be the release date.
And that's one thing we talked about doing in Candyman coverage and an audio commentary. We'll do the absolute best that we can, but if it's not out on Blu-ray, by the end of the year, it might get pushed into 2022 before we can do the audio commentary.
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
We're not going to sit in the theater and do an audio commentary.
Grabbing a microphone to our mouth and be like, okay, now this part here. Hey, Ryan, what do you think of this? Yeah. And you'd be on the phone and it's like, yeah, I'm seeing it too.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting kicked out of the theater.
Someone's eating popcorn next to me. No, I think in the world of today, I mean, especially with the pandemic and the streaming releases and stuff, I think that, by the end of next year, we'll definitely have a Blu-ray of this.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it'll be available on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that to rent.
Put out the physical version of it for Halloween. Clive Barker. This is older news, but we haven't had a news episode in a while. Clive Barker did a Reddit AMA. Ask Me Anything. Some of the coolest news. There were a few pieces of news in there. The first one, Aberrat 5, he gave it a name, Quintet. Literally means like, group of 5, right? It's like the fifth one. It's the finale.
Right. People asked him about it, and I think the question was, in terms of question, which of your worlds was the hardest to fully realize? All of them, from Quiddity to the Dominions of Imajica and others, are all so detailed and feel so real. Which one gave you the most work to figure out how to convey? And Clive said, firstly, that is a wonderful question. Thank you. I suppose the most difficult of worlds, literary worlds that I've created so far is Aberrat, which you do know because you've read all the books. There are 2 more volumes of Aberrat still to come, and a huge portion of it has not yet been revealed by me. The complexity of Aberrat, 25 islands, each one a different time of the day, is very complicated and quite challenging. I'm finishing off on book 4 of Aberrat now, still have some paintings to make to illustrate it, which kind of surprised me, this part that he still has some paintings to make. But anyway, he says, I'm finishing off on book 4 of Aberrat now, still have some paintings to make to illustrate it. And then I'll go straight on to the final book, Quintet. This has been the most lengthy and complex of the projects that I've attempted, and I'm excited to revisit the world for the last 2 volumes.
And someone had also asked him, when is Aberrat 4 coming out? And he said, well, it's mostly done. I don't have a date. As soon as I know it, I'll let you know. That's paraphrasing. Another really big one, and we have to take this a little bit with a grain of salt, but someone had asked him about projects that had almost been released but didn't quite make it. And his answer, part of his answer, he says, in the last month or so, several projects that I've always wanted to see as films or television series have been pursued by producers and will be turned into events for television or cinema in the next few years. They include Imajica, Weaveworld, Nightbreed, more tales from the Books of Blood, and also a television series based on the comic called Ectokid. Other works, others in the works, but all of those are moving along nicely. This was really surprising to hear, right? I mean, Weaveworld, we'd been hearing about Weaveworld on Showtime since like the late 90s, I think. And,
right.
And that fell apart with Showtime, and then it went a couple other places. There were some crazy story ideas for Weaveworld. If it comes back, I would love to see it like a pure adaptation. Set it in the 80s in Liverpool.
Ectokid, it's not the first time that they've tried developing stuff like this, right? I mean, Ectokid, at one point, it was going to be like a computer game, I think, Ectosphere, and they were talking about, Clive Barker sold the rights to television and film for Ectokid to Nickelodeon and Paramount Pictures in 2001. It was going to have Joe Daly as executive producer. Gave some interviews where he said he wanted to create a franchisable world for the studio. And as of November 2018, that kind of fell off. And now Clive is back to talking that, they're still developing that. So these things take time, right?
Yeah, right. And who knows among all of that what's going to be developed. I mean, Nightbreed we've been hearing about a lot recently, but then it got kind of quiet. We'll see about that. And there was Saint Sinner with Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Yes, that wonderful movie.
Yeah, and when that thing came out, it didn't bear any resemblance at all to the comic of that name. It really just had the title, and that was it.
And then, of course, he also talks about the book of poetry that's going to be called The Presence of This Breath. That would have 280 poems that will range in tone and style and length across the board, and that he said a few of them you may recognize from the Abrat books, but the bulk of the poems will be new to most readers. In subject matter, let me say this. They visit many of the subjects that I deal with in my novels and short fiction, but often take paths that only a poem can take. It's very hard to say anything more specific than that. Looking forward to the poems because... And
a book of short stories too that he was talking about. And Imajica would be an amazing TV series. I mean, would just say don't make it a movie, make it a TV series. Take your time, get all the beats right. That would be awesome.
It would have to be very well cast for Gentle and Judith and the guy who would play Gentle would have to also play Sertori. So it would be playing double duty in some scenes. That would be quite a tour de force for whatever actor would be cast in that.
I wonder if all this is bubbling back up because because of the Hulu Books of Blood movie is starting to make people, that are sitting on the rights for all these things go, Clive Barker's back. Maybe we'll develop some of these things that we've got. And the Hellraiser TV series, that's got big names and lots of money behind it, theoretically.
HBO.
Yeah, so if that becomes big and awesome, then probably all this other stuff will start falling into line, behind it.
That would be something, yeah. So I found the stuff where he was talking about the collection of short fiction. So he was doing a collection of original, new, and collected short fiction, which would have stuff like the Nightbreed Chronicles stories that he wrote for each Nightbreed guy and stuff, and some of the narratives that went with the Tortured Souls models, which I think they were already released in Legends of Primordium, right? And he also talks about Chiliad, which also was released as its own book. But I don't remember that he said something about the name of this new thing.
Fear Eternal is the name.
There it is. Yeah. Fear Eternal. So we'll see when these things come out. I wonder what's the status on the Thief of Always film, too.
Yeah. You'd think that would have been brought up also as well. I mean, that should be a slam dunk, and it should be a lot easier to put together an animated version of that than a lot of the other stuff they're talking about.
That'd be super marketable, especially now with all these people who love Harry Potter stuff. I mean, there's always the inevitable comparison that some people will do, even if this was written way before Harry Potter. But there's always that thing where people are going to be like, oh, this is like similar to that. It's like, well, okay, but it was written before. So
yeah. 91.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I hope that happens. I would love to see Thief of Always finally get done. And of course, Tortured Souls is another one that's been, as a movie, has been kind of pushed around, and and almost happened and not happening.
And these things are the ones that bring in new generations to the fold of collecting Clive Barker, reading Clive Barker, when these works for children are put out. So, yeah, I mean, horror fans are a great fandom for the most part and all that. But they're also sometimes a little cynical. And I feel like the magic of Clive Barker's work is the beauty of the poetry and the beauty that he has in his work, and especially in some of his like work for younger kids, like The Thief of Always. Being an adult when I read it, I appreciated it a lot, and Aberrat as well. And I think those are the books that there's people here in the Reddit Ask Me Anything thread that are talking about how they started reading Aberrat when they were 10 years old, and now here they are, fans of Clive Barker, asking questions directly to him on a Reddit Ask Me Anything thread. Clearly Aberrat 1 came out in like 2002, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 18 years later, here they are at the age of 28, and they're Clive Barker fans. That's how you got them, Clive. Yeah. You got them with Aberrat. So developing The Thief of Always or an Ectokid or something like that, while some people might be like, I don't care about that. It's for kids. But these are the things that bring in like new fans into the fold. Yeah. So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of the older fans are like, oh, no, Clive Barker is not for children. He's for, horror stories like the books of
I think Clive Barker would disagree.
Yeah. No. And Aberrat, I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about Aberrat and Thief of Always. That stuff is great.
His website has a section just for children.
Yeah.
It's kind of a risky thing sometimes because you're just a few clicks away from going into the darker part of Revelations. But,
right. So they give you two branching paths right at the start there. You can go over to the Aberrat section or the rest of it. So in other news, Peter Atkins, who we just had on our most recent episode, most recent episode, is narrating a novelization of the audiobook of Fright Night.
Isn't that awesome? Like Fright Night turned into a novel by Skip and Craig Spector, splatterpunk authors, and part of the Psycho Slut Sisters in Nightbreed that were cut. Yeah. They show up in like the rodeo scene. There's some of the dead victims in the hotel when Boone goes into the room, and yeah, so you can see them there. But John Skip, Craig Spector wrote this novel for Fright Night, and Peter Atkins is reading it. And of course, if you've been following Rolling Darkness Review YouTube channel, you know how awesome it is to hear Pete read some of his own stories, and along with Hirschberg, his other partner in Rolling Darkness Review. So it's great stuff. I'm buying it now and with 1 credit on my Audible.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too.
I just did. Boom.
All right. So our next thing that we wanted to talk about, and we've talked about The Torturer a lot. We did like episode 184. We talked with Joe Manco about the development of this short film. It's based on a short story by Paul Kane in his Nailbiters series. But now we've had a chance to watch it. I mean, I think you watched it a while back, and I was a little nervous about the torturing. So I only just recently watched it. But yeah, now we've gotten a chance to watch it, and we can kind of give our spoiler-free impressions of the torturer.
What did you think about it?
It worked on me. I admit to watching a part of it with from between my fingers. The nailing the nails into his fingers. Oh my!
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the original teaser poster that evoked that scene where you saw this hand was part of the teaser poster with dripping blood and nails driven right into the nails, the fingernails. So that scene is really, really heavy. So Paul T. Taylor plays a character called Andrew Brooks or Andy Brooks. And it's a little bit like Marathon Man in the opening, and then it turns almost into like a Kafkaesque story like the trial, where you don't know exactly what's going on. You don't know what he's being accused of. They keep asking him, you know what you did. What did you do? Who do you work for?
Yeah, and a ways into it, you start to suspect. But at the start of it, it seems like a legitimate interrogation, and but after a while, you do start to suspect something's a little off here. And I don't want to get into spoiling it, but yeah, it was kind of fun to take that ride along with the characters. Yeah, absolutely.
The torturer guy, his name is Varnado. His name is, the actor who plays the torturer. He's Lawrence Varnado. So he's really awesome in this. He's very intimidating. He's this guy in a white shirt, which if you're a torturer, maybe wearing white is not the best thing to wear.
I was thinking about that too with the two guys that keep hauling his body, from one room to the other. It's like, oh, you sleep over here, you get tortured over here. And there's these two guys wearing suits, come and gather them up. And I'm thinking, oh, you're going to get blood on those.
Yeah, I guess that's their job, It all takes place in this like weird, like a blurry kind of unfocused black void, and it just adds to the confusion and to the feeling of being disoriented and not being able to see where he is and what's going on. And then they drag him through these like hallways where you can see all these cells of people being tortured, and you can hear the screams of the people being tortured.
And he's at one. There's just one light bulb, like one orange light bulb for light, and these specters keep haunting him.
Yeah, it really makes you feel like you're in a place where you can't escape, and there's nowhere to escape to. Even even if you, it's just I love it. It was of course funded on Indiegogo, I think, by Little Spark Films.
They did an amazing job. Seeing one of the lead specters wearing the Clive Barker podcast T-shirt brought a tear to my eye. I mean, I know we saw stills of it before when they were doing production, but seeing it in the film, and this is like a prominent specter character or ghost character. That was so cool.
I know.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Little Spark Films, and
with our Model 2. With our Model 2 T-shirt that you can get from our Kickstarter right now.
That's right. Yep.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, please do.
And you can also get digital copies of The Torturer through our Kickstarter as well, right?
Yeah, digital copies alone, or you can get one with a poster. I did it that way because if somebody's buying it like in Europe or something and they don't want to pay $20 to ship a poster, then they could just get a digital copy of the movie instead. But it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, the posters are all signed by Paul T. Taylor, who's Pinhead from Hellraiser, Judgment,
the Hell Priest,
and the torture victim Andy, and like you said in this film.
Yeah, and a lot of blood, it's pretty brutal. Yeah. And I've just bought Paul Kane's Nailbiters anthology today. I bought it on Kindle. I bought a Kindle copy so I could read it. Joe Manco and Catalina and the people from Little Spark Films were kind enough to send us a script of the movie that they were working on when they were filming. Do you have that script? If you don't, I'll send it over to you. You should have this too.
Yeah, I do actually. I think they sent it to go because so along with the digital copy of the short film, there's I think also the script and the soundtrack. And
that's cool.
And a press kit, I think.
Yeah. So I was also a backer of the Indigo project. And so I'm going to read the story as well. Nailbiters by Paul Kane. It was released as a paperback in February 13 of 2017. And we've talked with Paul Kane several times in the podcast. He's a great guy, shadow writer, wrote Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell, of course, as well as Hellraiser films and their legacy book, and Hellraisers, the interview book that we still have to review and finish reading. Maybe 2021 will be the perfect time to do that.
Yeah.
So I'll make a good review for this. Probably this weekend, definitely this week.
Awesome.
For The Torturer, and I will also read Nailbiters from Paul Kane and also give him a review for that, because it's been a while since we had a good review of Paul Kane's books.
And I think Paul Kane has also started putting some of his stuff on audiobook on Encyclopocalypse.
No, that's great news.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if this short story collection, Nailbiters, shows up on there as well.
Man, wouldn't that be tremendous if you got Doug Bradley to read some of these stories? That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, coming up in the future, we'll be doing more A to Z, Clive Barker's A to Z of horror commentaries. We've got G is for Grim Tales with Edward Scissorhands, and H is for Harlequinade with Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, back when Tim Burton was good.
Yeah. Has there been a decline? And I'm trying to think of what was a bad...
Dark Shadows, for example. That was the last Tim Burton movie I ever saw. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. It's more of a comedy. It's more like a pastiche of Dark Shadows. Than it's like you see Johnny Depp and he's this vampire that comes out of a coffin after being buried for like 100 years or something. And there's this little girl, a little teenager that says, "Are you stoned?" Because he's talking about stuff and he's acting weird. He's like, "They tried stoning me, my dear. It did not work." And it's like, oh my God. It's weird. It's weird.
All right. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Barnabas Collins. Which, by the way, Johnny Depp just got thrown out of the next movie for Fantastic Beasts.
Were there 2 Fantastic Beast movies?
Yeah, there's been 2 already. There's been the first one, which was kind of a hit. The second one was not so much of a hit. And now they're working on a third one. But Johnny Depp is not going to be Grunwald anymore. Because of the lawsuit that's going on with Amber Heard, his ex-wife, and I don't know. There was like a newspaper in England that called him a wife beater, and then he sued them and he lost, and then the studio said, well, he's not going to be part of the third movie, so that's where he's at right now.
Are those things based on novels by J.K. Rowling, or are they just like new things?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know about the book thing. I know that there was a movie. I'm assuming there might be a book too. Let me look it up. Did you ever read anything by Anne Rice, by the way, since we were talking earlier about
Interview with the Vampire? I read part of the second book and I didn't like it. And
Is it like Lestat or something?
Yeah, Vampire Lestat. I read part of that, and then I had this big stack of hardcovers of them, and I used them to hold down the lizard cage.
My God, really?
Yeah. I don't know. I really liked Interview with the Vampire, and the sequels all just felt like so. After that second one, they just felt like so much worse.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a book by J.K. Rowling, and then there's also the original screenplay published as a book. There's stuff like that. So
there's really only one novel, but they made 2 movies.
Probably, yeah.
And working on a third.
Yeah, I'm not a big Harry Potter connoisseur. I mean, I've seen the 8 movies and I haven't seen Fantastic Beasts, but I was just talking about that because Tim Burton and Johnny Depp and Edward Scissorhands, and I can't speak anymore.
Yeah. Well, and Johnny Depp is a guitarist for Alice Cooper's band, the Hollywood Vampires.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen him play some songs in YouTube. Well, I guess that's it. So I'm looking forward to the next upcoming commentary tracks. Yeah. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, especially.
Yeah, right.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, and please go to our Kickstarter. Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 8 Sellworld. And
Sellworld.
Yeah, get some cool stuff. Get some Christmas presents.
And there's stuff here that you can't get anywhere else, really. I mean, where are you going to find Dread newsletters anymore? Just go to our Kickstarter, and thanks to everybody who's been helping us with this. Thanks to everybody who's donated stuff. You guys are the best. We love you guys, and we love everybody who's supporting us as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And this podcast,
10th year,
having no beginning, will have no end.
Maybe after 10 years.
Maybe 10 years. Yeah. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. We've got an archive of past episodes, news, features, and reviews, along with all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on every other place you can find podcasts. Share your thoughts with us and share our podcast with your friends. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that's not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.